Hello, it's Matthew Thompson from TeamOTK/CMX, and I was the one that topped the last two extravaganzas with Unchained. Alright, so starting with the main deck, we start with 3 Rikea, this card's amazing, and then the 3 Aruha, this is standard ratio, I would never cut it anything lower, don't really need to explain it. And then 3 Sarama, uh, I know some people have been cutting this to 2 because like it doesn't do anything in open hand by itself, which is understandable. But personally, I still like 3 because even if you drop by yourself, that means you drew trap cards with it. So overall, that means it's pretty solid. Like basically having this and summon by itself, and you have like 3 back row, you can just be like when they summon and they start doing their play, you can torrential the board, and then this will trigger and it basically turns on your engine. So yeah, I don't know if I would ever cut this to 2. I would have to give it a try, but overall, I love this card at 3. It's amazing in the grind game and overall. And then where my list is different from most people, I run the 3 of bombs and the 2 disaster. So I think this is probably the correct ratio of 3 because this card's amazing. It helps you break a lot of boards. The chain block is really big in some games. And yeah, it's just really good. I would personally give this one a try at 3. This one you can probably put at 2. I don't know. I don't think I've played this deck with only one because this card comes up a lot in my opinion. Like I'll summon on this on my opponent's turn, and they'll try to out this on their turn, and I'll end up bringing back like a Rikea. And on my turn, I'll summon the second one because no one plays around it, and it just ends up being a blowout because they weren't prepared for the second copy. Same for this. A lot of people are not prepared for the third copy. They always try to ice dragon these away as soon as they can because they're like, oh, if I get rid of these early, I should win the game. But in my list, it's like not happening. So yeah, I would highly recommend giving this ratio a try, like at least once. Like I know this can be bricky. Like I had a lot of games where I opened both of them, and I'm like, ugh. But it's whatever. I made it through. Like I even won a game where I opened all 3 of these cards. Like it's not the worst. And then going to the hand traps, 3D shift are the reason I played this deck. It's 100% the best hand trap this format if you can play it. Like it forces a lot of decks just to pass turn because they can't play through this card. Not a lot of decks can. And then 3 Ash Blossoms. It's because it's good against Rogue, and I don't really need to explain it. It's just good. Or I guess it's okay, but it's good enough. Going to the spells. 3 Prison, the Road of the deck, then 3 Extravagance. This card, oh, that's backwards. There you go. Yeah, 3 Extravagance. So, I think this card is better than the Prosperity because the +1 is pretty valuable. And I feel like the half damage thing from the Prosperities can end up hurting you because you do a lot of damage in this deck. So I'd rather just have this for overall. But I know some people have been doing also the 3-2 ratio, and I understand the reasons because like it increases your chance of opening a pot by like 50 something percent. But overall, I think the correct ratio is 3 extravagance. I don't know if I would ever play this because you're playing a tier 2 deck and you need to see extra cards no matter what. Like the extra cards help a lot in the long game. Then 2 trap cards. Standard trap ratio for Unchained, 3 escape, 3 chamber. Don't need to explain it. The best card in Unchained, Torrential Tribute. Not a lot of people play through it, and you guys don't get, or not affected by this pretty much. Then the 3 Ice Dragon, best trap card in this format. If you don't have this card, you can probably play Solemn Strike instead, I guess. But overall, if you can get this card, I'd highly recommend doing it. This card's amazing. The Trap Trick is basically a fourth copy of all the traps. And yeah, that's really it. It's just a fourth copy of all my traps. It's basically an Upstart Goblin for my deck. And in the Imperial Order, so the reason this is in the main deck is because like even going second, I can discard it with Abomination, so it's not completely worthless. And I wanted to put this in the side deck if anything, but I couldn't fit it because I like to do 3-3-3 of everything in my extra deck or side deck. So I was like, whatever, I have an extra spot in my main deck and I'll just put it in. But overall, if you wanted to cut this, you can just put a second trap trick or try needle ceilings or something like that. Then to the extra deck. You know, standard stuff because I play Extravagance, the 3 Rage, the 3 Anguish, the 2 Abomination, don't need to explain. 2 unicorns, the 2 access code. I don't know if I would actually play a third copy. I never, like, the third copy never came up for me. Like, it's either I just banished them all, so I don't really care, it's whatever, or I just banished one. Overall, I don't think the third copy ever came up, so maybe you only need 2. But if you have the money, I guess you can buy a third one. Overall, I think having extra spots for, like, BLS is nice. This card is good at times when it does come up. And then my 2 Dragoon stops, or outs. So basically, I'm still playing this because I wanted a card that can out Dragoon if this got negated. Because they're like, oh, this deck can't out Dragoon that easily. Which is kind of wrong because you can just crash Abomination in if they don't negate anytime. But overall, never summoned this, but I summoned this because this is actually pretty easy to summon my list because I run more level 8s. Overall, yeah, it's pretty good. To the side deck. Lancias, on the explain, they're really good in this format. Phantasme, because it helps you dig for the Dark Ruler no more when you're going against Dragon Link. Then the 3 Cyclones for those annoying back row decks. And then because you're playing a back row deck, 3 Judgment, because evenly matched kinda hurts, but you can get by. Alright, overall that's my deck list. I think this deck is pretty good overall. Like, I've been playtesting this deck a lot and overall never had an issue with it. I know people have issues with it because it's like there's a lot of cards in here that are questionable, but I say if you're giving this deck a try, I recommend it. Like, for sure you should be trying this stuff. Like, this is a good ratio. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but gets you by. Overall, shoutouts to Corrupt TCG for making this possible. And peace.